Gigabyte's Nanping factory, about 45 minutes west of Taipei, is the only motherboard factory left in Taiwan. 1,200 employees work here, installing, assembling, checking and packaging motherboards before they're sent out to stores. And it all begins here on the 7th floor with these machines that print solder paste onto the base circuit board. The board then passes through this series of robots that put components in place. Tiny resistors and capacitors, each about the size of a grain of rice, are fed from these reels, and factory workers need to keep a constant eye to ensure they don't run out. If that happens, the production line would stop. Next is a run through an oven that melts the solder so the components become attached to the board.
This machine behind me is doing optical checking of the boards. It takes photographs and compares those against a database to make sure that every component is where it should be.
Gigabyte has 10 of these production lines, and they all end up with a final check by eye before the board is off to the 5th floor. And on the 5th floor, boards begin with another robot, but robots can only do so much.
This is where a lot of the manual work begins. On this line behind me, circuit boards are continuously moving along, and these people are checking the boards and attaching individual components.
While tiny components can be automatically placed, larger components like some capacitors, memory sockets and audio connectors are done by hand. Each operator at each workstation is responsible for a number of components, and they need to work fast to keep the line going. All the while, a robot scoots around the floor behind them, delivering components so they don't run out. And at the end of the line, there's another soldering process and series of checks before the board goes down again, this time to the 2nd floor. And it's here where the packaging process begins. Machines punch out boxes and operators add accessories like cables and put the boards in bags to prevent damage. The driver disc and manual are added, and then the boards are put into their boxes. Throughout the process, everything is scanned to ensure that the correct components are going with the correct motherboards.
And at the end of this line, as all of the components are put into boxes, this is what we end up with: piles of motherboards ready to ship out.
The Nanping factory accounts for about a quarter of Gigabyte's motherboard production. And on this line and others in this factory and elsewhere, boxes of motherboards are continually produced, eventually ending up in PCs around the world. And that's how a motherboard is made.